This week on the Modified World, I'm going to bring you conch piercing essentials. I know you want to learn, so stay tuned. So welcome to the Modified World, the weekly web show about body modification, the people who do it, the people who get it, and why it matters. I'm your host, senior piercer up here at the world-renowned Pangea Piercing, and the guy who brought quality YouTube videos about piercing to the masses. That's right, JC Potts, in case you didn't know. And this week, we're going to be discussing conch piercings. Conch piercings go back a long ways. I have seen depictions of them from hundreds of years ago in engravings in various anthropological things that I've looked up about body piercing. And it's a very common thing throughout or the traditional parts of India, depending on where you're at. Conches are very much like any other cartilage piercing. They're slow healers. Cartilage doesn't have a lot of blood vessels going to it, so it's very slow to heal. Not only that, but an infection in cartilage can be disastrous. So, of course, we take all the preparations. While I say that there's not a lot of blood vessels in the cartilage, this is true. There's not. But there's quite a bit of blood vessels over the cartilage, in the skin, overlying it. So, of course, we try to pay attention to that somewhat amount of controversy on the pronunciation of this even. Is it conch or is it conch? I've said conch my whole life. I've been told by medical professionals who actually understand things about anatomy that it's actually conch, like a conch shell. And I get it. I understand that. And even though I know you've seen me rant in videos about using proper terminology, I'm going to go ahead and say, screw this crap. I say conch. Why? Because conch sounds like something I do to you in the back of the head if I run up behind you. Conch. See what I'm saying? So I like conch. It sounds a lot more, I don't know, correct to me. First steps first, of course, we get everybody cleaned up. And second step, of course, is to make some marks. So to make some marks, I use a single drop of gentian violet on a sterile toothpick so that we don't reuse anything. And also to make sure that we don't get involved into a bunch of crazy blood vessels, I'm going to transilluminate. You should be able to see any gigantic blood vessels that pop up. This is what one would look like right there. That's your blood vessels. But she doesn't really have a lot in the conch. So then it's a matter of, well, you want it to be relatively, because I know she wants to wear a ring, so I want it to be relatively level to where when she lays back, it'll fit more like, you know, not so vertical of a presentation. You definitely don't want a ring in there sitting like over here. You want it to be sitting like this and hanging down like that. But of course, we're not going to start that guy off with a ring. We're going to start that guy off with a nice piece of happy glass from our friends over at Glassware Studios. That's a free plug too. Well, not the single flared plug, but the plug I gave to Glassware Studios. Of course, you know I accept no outside advertisers, so you can rest assured that I actually use Glassware Studios because it's good stuff. Would you like to take a look at that mark? Does that look good to you?
Yeah, it's good to me.
Fan-freaking-tastic. Go ahead and get my nifty sterile gloves on. Why? Because non-sterile gloves are okay to clean and mark and prep and stuff like that. But when it comes to actually doing fresh piercings on live wiggling people with immune systems that need to be protected, we use the happy sterile gloves. So anyway, for this piercing, it's real simple. Basically, just going to use our friend the biopsy punch, a large stack of sterile gauze so that I can protect my finger, our jewelry, and this is important on this particular configuration I'm doing, I need the concave end taper because I need to be able to switch directions. I don't want to just have a point that there's not jewelry in the hole. Now with larger gauge conches, you won't necessarily need a taper because there's no chance of the, like a 5mm hole closing in the time that it take to grab the jewelry. But on small stuff like this, a taper is not a bad thing to have. It's good, cheap insurance. It makes you look like a professional. So, with all that in mind, if you'd like to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and get this guy on the back here. I'm just going to get lined up with my appropriate implement, but I'm not doing anything just yet. Remember, you're in total control. All right, sweetie, we look good, though. So whenever you're ready, you can give me that good deep breath in and out. There you go. A little crunchy, a little loud, but that's it. Piercing's done, though. A little saline on here, kind of cool you down. Ah, tell me that does not feel awesome. That's like everybody's favorite part. Now I'm going to switch directions using my happy taper friend here. And then we get some happy jewelry in there. Blam! Look at that. Easy peasy, Japanesey. Another little pro tip to put an O-ring onto a small gauge single flare plug like this. Put it on the taper like so. Hold it up to the back and then just roll it right off the end, just like this. Nice and easy. You get her cleaned up a little bit. Healing time on these, for the initial healing, you expect at least 4 to 6 months before it is not swollen or angry or sore or anything like that. And then a full year before you can be able to really switch jewelry out, leave it out for an extended period of time or anything like that. And rings. Everybody's always, of course, going to ask, I want to wear a ring in it. You really don't ever want to start them off with rings. Rings flop and move and they're heavy. They twist when you lay on them and they're just no fun all the way around. So my advice is to either use a barbell or a single flare piece of glass plug. You'll get a lot better of a result at the end of the day and a lot happier of a client. Would you like to take a look at that piercing and tell me what you think?
Sure. Oh my god, it's exactly what I wanted.
I did not prompt that at all.
It's perfect. I love.
Right on. Right on. Well, thank you for letting me pierce you today. I appreciate that. This is your sharp going to the place of no return. That's right. And of course, you remember what the most important thing to remember about healing your piercing is?
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. That's half the battle right there, folks. Well, like I said, thank you so much for letting me pierce you today. And of course, I would like to see you in about 3 or 4 weeks. Well, so that was my show this week. Hope you learned something. Hope you're at least entertained. Give out swag every now and then to engage subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, I'm talking to you. Go ahead and throw me that subscription and leave me a comment in the section down below so that I know that y'all are paying attention. I shouldn't even have to bribe you to be sharing this type of information because I know you support what I do. So go ahead and give me a share or two on your Facebook, your Tumblr, Twitter, Google Plus if you got one. And of course, hey, stop back by next week for yet another episode of The Modified World.